Senate has now passed the TikTok bill. So we talked about this last year, right? So that bill got legislated. It didn't get legislated. It got
Passed.
It got passed in the House of Reps. So it needed to clear the hurdle of the Senate.
Yes.
Tick. So Joe Biden, it's definitely happening.
So ByteDance, the owner of TikTok,
Yeah.
has now 9 months to sell it before they are banned in the US.
That's correct. So obviously all the uproar, I think it's really interesting because when you go to TikTok, I love these very smart parodies of like a family, one pretending to be the US government, one pretending to be ByteDance, one pretending to be TikTok.
Yeah.
Like they're really cool interpretations of that. But yeah, like you've articulated it well, 9 months, not a lot of time. But okay, before we talk about this, there's actually something really layered in terms of how this bill got passed, right? That caught my attention as I was researching. The interesting thing is, so how the House of Reps, they need to vote for it, right? They need to vote pro or against, right? So the overwhelming majority voted for this, right? 85 to 15%, right? So vast over majority. However, so when they vote for an element, they vote for a what do we call it? A bill? It's not a bill. Amendment proposed. Let's call it a bill. When they vote for that aspect, right? Yeah, it's usually a singular topic, right?
No, but it's wait. Well, you're gonna get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case,
It got combined.
it got combined, and it got combined with amendment to Senate a $95 billion package providing aid to Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and the Indo-Pacific region. So why is that a big deal? Well, hold up, because technically, aid, TikTok, they're different things, right? They're different concepts. So why is it a big deal? Well, by combining it, they basically were trying to force the hand of individuals that did not want to vote yes for the TikTok element to get pulled through there. Is it that or the other way around? Because there was some Republicans apparently were reluctant to approve more aid for Ukraine. But by putting the TikTok element there, you got to know it's a yes or a no.
Yeah, that's all it is.
They were forced to do so. So whoever did it strategically put it together to try and get it there, because we knew that there was an overwhelming majority that wanted to pass this bill. So I thought that was really interesting because whoever picked that sneaky, like they put a bill there that was about aid, and then they pushed the TikTok element there. But I think just to put it in here, we go back to what we talked about earlier in the program, governments wanting to hold some level of control on social media. And like, this is very different in that there's clearly a Chinese, like, so interestingly enough, I saw, quote and unquote, like a news YouTube, which basically said that they were doing research on like TikTok.
Yeah.
And apparently this makes actually no sense, but like, I'll run it through you. TikTok was spying on users, which yes, it makes sense if you download it, because we know that like how many
they have access to the data.
Hold up. For users that actually don't download TikTok. So that then
wait, so say for example, if you downloaded TikTok.
Okay, if I downloaded TikTok or Facebook or Google or anything, and anytime I say, you know what, I'm gonna go to Hawaii, and you get served a bloody like
yeah.
They're listening to you, all right? Whether you want to agree with it or not, there. But what this researcher was saying is when they were doing research for like the government on why to like push this, individuals that had not downloaded TikTok they were still spying on it.
This is why I'm asking. So say you downloaded TikTok. Are they playing it because they know that they would be able to track that we're a household?
I don't know
and that I haven't downloaded it.
But let's assume that that's not the case. Because if you downloaded TikTok, I don't want to go down this.
Sorry, I need to understand this.
That's what I mean. Like, not all questions were answered because the journalist asked a very smart question, which was the next question I'd ask. Then why are we pushing this anyway if they can spy on us regardless of whether we have an app or not? And the guy literally said, that's a good question. He didn't have an answer for it. But and the whole thing about this is, hold up, It's a Chinese company.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
If it was an American company, they'd be kind of okay with it. But
Yeah.
because this is going to a Chinese company, simply they don't trust it. And it's about countries that have basic like tensions with the US, right? If TikTok was a Russian-based company, it'd be exactly the same, right? So that's what it's about. But just to answer your question, if, for example, I didn't have TikTok, you had TikTok, and we were talking within the vicinity.
Yeah.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, we all didn't have TikTok. They're saying that there's a world where it can still track our data. Then I'm thinking, hold up, that makes no sense in the world.
That makes no
sense.
sense.
But let's entertain things not making sense. Because, by the way, people that keep attacking us in the comments, when we say things, it's a counterbalance, right? Where unless we specifically say I'm 100% for this or against, right? Talking about you with the Marquez Brown one. But anyway, so specifically,
Defamation.
no, definitely not. I don't agree with that. I knew you were gonna get hammered on that one because it just wasn't defamation.
No,
Anyway,
I'm just.
but anyway, stirring the pot. That's good. Let's entertain that for somehow, even though it makes no sense. I'm thinking that the only way that that's possible is if you assume that TikTok.
Did somebody have it previously and they didn't remove?
They're saying no. They're saying no completely, which makes no sense. But let's just run through this like conspiracy theory rabbit hole. If you assume that maybe 70% of Gen Y have TikTok. Let's just make an assumption. Let's just make life a little
70% of Gen Z have TikTok.
Yeah, Gen Z. Whatever. Like, you
That's a bit more feasible,
you
right?
get the point. The minutia is not important.
It is important. Context is important.
The concept is if they could, because of the cross interaction between a large demographic or cohort there in terms of user browser and cookies and stuff like that, which is dying in itself, which the more and more I think about it, that there is a way of them tracking behavior. Because again, when we say tracking behavior, don't get it twisted. It's not that there's like some big brother looking at everything there, but tracking behavior is looking at the websites that you go to, how long you spend on email and stuff like that.
So they're building up some level of persona, right? Based on behaviors. And they probably would have bought data as well if we're really thinking about it.
Yeah. So look, it's happening. 9 months is not a lot. The conspiracy theorists and a lot of people could say, you know what, this is just US propaganda. It's going to be bought by one of Elon, Mark Zuckerberg, like all the big guys. It's going to conglomerate there. And if it does, because it would just make sense. Like, what is stopping, for example, what is stopping Google from buying it? They have insane amounts of money. If I was Apple, I would double, triple down on that. They don't have new products in the pipeline. The iPhones are not selling in the thing. I would go for that straight away. If I was Google, I would go that straight away, integrated in my Google platform, and then you just got like something that integrates there. I know agencies would be frothing over something like that. Simply just the integration there. And then you say, hold up, if you're as a government want censorship, these very same individuals that you don't want to have power, you have indirectly given them more power.
I guess the other angle to that as well, right? So that's the business side, right? And you know who owns who, like no one company should have all that data and whatnot, right? On the flip side is the censorship idea and like the impact of TikTok that it can have on people, right? So one of the other reasons why that the government is trying to ban TikTok, and I did see this on a video, sorry I can't cite the actual name and whatnot, is one of the speakers who was saying that TikTok actually, in being able to share the ideas and news of what's happening in Palestine or whatever, and it creates an uprising in people. And, you have these protests that are happening on the university campuses that are inciting violence and whatnot. And then you juxtapose that to like videos of these girls that are trying to do, that style of cheerleading dancing where they're doing that, but they're protesting for Palestine.
Yes.
It's that weird thing again of like, do you actually know? Do you actually understand how social media works?
Is that why?
That's one of the reasons that was cited, right? And so it's connecting this to another thing that has happened to the U.S. very recently. The Supreme Court has abolished the right to mass protest in 3 U.S. states: Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. all in light of, with Black Lives Matter and surely a whole lot of
What's
other
the mass
things that have
protest? Surely there's a number tied to that, right?
Oh,
100. There would be, right? Like,
yeah.
Like if three of us go, it's not a mass protest.
No,
Right?
no. Basically,
like at least
There's a number.
tens of thousands.
like after a lot of things that have happened with Black Lives Matter, the unnecessary shootings, like the police shooting down, like racially profiled people, individuals and whatnot. Yeah. And then there's been a whole lot of conjecture as well about all the riots that are happening for Palestine and how the U.S. government is in light of, I guess, giving we call it humanitarian aid to Israel, right? In particular,
which includes a bit of Gaza.
Well, it would, yeah. But like that, it doesn't come out like that, right?
Yeah. Oh well, people can take whatever they want and run it through the algorithm, say one bit, put a nice song on it, and like get 10, 15 seconds of fame. Proliferation of social media, censorship, non-censorship, freedom of speech is basically single-handedly the biggest paradigm shift in this current century. Mm-hmm. It really is, because again, once we open that black box, we can't close it. We actually can't close it now. And I think what the governments are feeling is a sense of like
lack of control.
Mm-hmm. And for a government leader, it must suck for and that's why when you attack Elon Musk, you can't attack X. You attack the owner of X. You attack Mark Zuckerberg and stuff like that. The face of it. But the irony is it's built by, they are the face of it and they're the heads and directions of it. But it's built by a lot of individuals, and a lot of individuals within these parliaments and governments of the world have big stakes in it as well. And now it's the control, because a lot of people don't trust the governments. They just don't. They hate it. Even if governments are saying something right, out of like just of where the whole world is at with inflation, the economy. Every major country is going through either inflation, deflation. If you're like, nothing as good is happening. And all of it gets in China. They're going down the barrel of an aging economy, which is actually putting not the whole livelihood in extinction, but it's actually making them uncompetitive because they don't have young people to work in these jobs and stuff like that. And who initiated that? The government. I'm not attacking anything, but what I'm saying is there's utmost distrust in governments across the board. There's no winning there. So when governments try and censorship thing there, even though the motivation, and I believe that there are certain people that within it that believe generally that what they're doing is the right thing, the Australian, the logic that they're saying is right. Like, there's nothing incorrect about it. But understand the other perspective. Have you interviewed the Australian public to ask them, do I want you to do this level of censorship?
Yeah.
Because you're getting well, I actually want you to stop fucking rising the interest rates. Or I want you to do this. Or I want you to do that. I don't care, Albanese, about you calling him. Like, why are you wasting your breath on that? Figure out your own shit. Like, we
don't need more beef,
We've got bigger fish to fry than this, right? This is the news, all right? Yeah. That you don't want to put it on Channel 9 News, that's good. That's why I watch Channel 9 News, and I know I get a doctrinated version of the news, and then I'll go and supplement it to where according to me. I was thinking that the one way you could do this, is actually when you go to Twitter for the first time. There are two versions of Twitter. I click on a version if I don't want to see don't want to see stuff like that.
Yeah. That's what Instagram's doing now. You know that, right?
I click on raw version, or unfiltered. And this way I decide what version of the world that I want to see. Because in real life, that's what happens. People talk to the same people. It's an echo chamber usually. Or when you go to people's YouTube channels, it's a curated view of what they want, and they stay there. They don't often venture out of it. So what's the difference with news?
It's, tough stuff, guys.
Probably one more thing to add to it, right? Mm-hmm. You got to think about, with these governments and how being possibly so out of touch with what the general public want. Throwing a thought out there. Should we, put a cap on how old?
I knew. I was actually thinking, it's not a cap on how old. It's a cap on how many young people should be in it.
Yeah, like there has to be a diversity ratio,
I
right?
agree.
Where you're
the irony is like when we had like a Vivek, right? Like bring it back to Vivek.
R.I.P. Vivek 2024.
Oh, he's going to be the
Vivek watch.
candidate, wherever. It's great.
No,
while it
for
lasted.
the campaign, the views, you know.
The views. Yeah.
Come back.
I don't think that's the worst idea.
Yeah.
All our brightest, our youngest and brightest, because there's oldest and brightest too. Not older, but you get what I'm saying.
Across the spectrum of age, the brightest.
I don't know. I don't know anyone in our social group that grows up saying, "I want to be a politician." Why would I want to fucking be a politician? Makes no sense. Like I don't get paid well. I get smashed by the thing.
It's too hard.
So all these amazing.
You have all these great ideas,
all these amazing initiatives. All these amazing, I never lived through this, which means that I'm not going to let any biases. I'm going to go in, probably get knocked back for 5 times. That doesn't enter a spectrum of life, which is just so important because these individuals decide the future of our country.
Yeah,